Chris Volstad will not have to deal with the little second baseman of the Pirates, but he will have to deal with a pretty good lineup. A lineup that's had a little resurgence with Andrew McCutchen at the top of the order. But Chris has been steady, 6 innings or more, 12 of his 16 starts this year. The one number he'd like to bring down a little bit, that home run total. He's allowed 15, but the opponent's hitting in the 250 range against him. And again, had he had a little support here, a little luck here, his record could be 7-5 instead of 5-7. He goes after win number 6 here tonight.
He's got his own fan club. Chris Volstad does as well.
Yeah, good group out there. Let's check out the defense, and there it is with Chris Coughlin and Cody Ross and Jeremy Hermida. Bonifacio, 9-game hitting streak, is at third. Cantu over at first. Hanley and Uggla, and John Baker behind the plate. And it looks like we're getting real close to get this game underway, Rich.
We'll certainly keep our eye around baseball and some other games. Of note for the Fish is this matchup, the Mets and the Phillies. Remember, the Phillies had played so well on the road. Well, that's over, as the Marlins in 18 days have made up 8 games and now sit tied with the Phillies tonight. Livan Hernandez on the mound for the Mets tonight.
Kind of an interesting matchup. You have two teams like that, and the Mets have been patching things together. They have brought up Rodrigo Lopez. So Rodrigo Lopez against Livan Hernandez in that game tonight in Philadelphia.
Here's McCutchen, Fort Meade, Florida. Fort Meade High School football track star. As we told you, as an 8th grader, led the league in hitting, hit .507. And he has had a nice steady climb up the Pirates ladder.
Well, they've known that they've had a gem for a while.
And he got off to a torrid start. He's been scuffling lately. Volstad pumps in a strike. McCutchen was 1 for 18 going into Wednesday night when he snapped that with a 2 for 4 game. Very nice young man as well. And so you got 2 products of the state of Florida. Volstad, who was part of the 2005 draft. Volstad and McCutchen, part of that draft as well. McCutchen going with the 11th overall pick to the Pirates. Volstad going 16th overall. McCutchen turns on one left field. Coughlin to the track and makes the catch. He's getting a little more familiar with that routine.
Yeah, he is, and it's a good thing that ball just got in enough on Andrew McCutchen, or he would have had launched that one a long way. Look at him take a peek, comfortable going back. He didn't look that way 3 or 4 weeks ago. Puts his hand out, knows that he's close, and keeps his concentration, and made a nice play.
One of the more underrated players in the National League, Jack Wilson, stands in. And he slaps one on the ground to Hanley. Red cap and all, Hanley makes the play. Volstad gets a quick out.
I think Hanley, we'll see Hanley, who has played good defense, by the way, over the last month or so. And I think we'll see Hanley with some nice defensive plays with Perry Hill over at first base coaching for the Pittsburgh Pirates, his old mentor and coach.
Nice to have Perry back on the field as Brandon Moss stands in. So the quick out from Volstad. Moss, who is 25, is part of that Atlanta or suburban Atlanta connection. He played on that Team Georgia with McCann, Francoeur, Matt Capps, the closer of this team. Jeremy Hermida knows him pretty well, and Jeremy Hermida's trying to track down his fly ball, and it's gone. Hermida got to the wall just as the ball got there, and it snuck over.
Boy, again, that home run ball bites Chris Volstad. And when you see the pitch back, you'll see that it certainly wasn't where he wanted it. Again, up. And that's where he's gotten hurt all year, when he's given up the long ball. That two-seamer staying up just over the outreach glove of Hermida.
Looks like a fan got a hold of it. From that angle, though, it looks like the ball's over the wall when the fan touches it. Adam LaRoche takes a breaking ball for a strike. LaRoche had a big home run yesterday. The Pirates were down a couple. K-Rod was on the mound. And it was the bottom of the ninth, and he blasted one out to right center, giving the Mets closer a blown save. Back to the mound. Volstad flips. Pirates are on the board first with a Brandon Moss home run.
Y es presentado por Taco Bell.
It's a 1-0 ball game. Marlins come to the plate with Chris Coughlin leading it off. Emilio Bonifacio's at third. Hanley's at short. Cantu's at first. Jeremy Hermida out in right field. Dan Uggla at second. Cody Ross in center. John Baker will do the catching, and Volstad will hit ninth.
We did talk about Charlie Morton, the 25-year-old. When he was with Atlanta last year, he started 3 games against the Marlins. And he beat them 1 game back on August 28th. He went 6 innings, gave up 4 hits, a couple of runs. Pretty good, hard two-seaming fastball. And a changeup to go along with that.
Yeah, Morton throws a strike. He was a piece of the McLeod trade. Made a start in AAA before being called up. This is his 4th start as a Pirate. There's that sinker.
He had good numbers in AAA in Richmond with the Braves before the trade.
Which shows you that the Braves rotation right now is one of their strong points. That the Atlanta ball club, the Marlins are obviously much improved from May. But watching the Braves play the last few nights, they are much improved as well.
Yeah, and you realize that the Braves fans aren't talking as much about Tom Glavine. Yeah. With Tommy Hanson, the youngster who's 4-0, and basically taking that spot in the rotation.
And Javier Vasquez looking good as well. Coughlin bounces out. One thing we know about the Pirates, good defensively.
Yeah, we'll check it out. There it is. Garrett Jones in left, McCutchen and Moss filling out the outfield. Wilson and Vasquez over at first base. Adam LaRoche just 1 error this year. His brother Andy getting better at third base defensively. Jason Jaramillo, the young catcher behind the plate.
Bonifacio stands in, and when last we left Emilio, he had a 9-game hitting streak. He has scored a run in 5 consecutive games. And he is starting to show some flashes of the early season. Bonifacio. On-base percentage over 300 now as he tries to push that higher and cause the type of havoc he did against the Nationals. Vasquez, 2 ground balls to second.
You know, talking about their defense, Rich, mentioning Adam LaRoche with just 1 error. When Freddie Sanchez is in there, the second baseman, Freddie Sanchez has made just 1 error. So there's the right side of the infield with only 1. Vasquez has handled a couple of balls nicely early on here tonight.
So Hanley stands in. Hanley red hot, 7 for 11 against Washington with 7 RBIs. 58 now on the season, and he has driven in a run in 10 consecutive games. And you got to know that when the Pirates went over the hitters, Joe Kerrigan has a lengthy and detailed scouting report on how to pitch him.
When you have that meeting, Joe Kerrigan, the pitching coach, John Russell, the manager, the one thing they're going to say is, don't let Hanley Ramirez beat you. Let it be somebody else.
There's a strike, and it's 0-2. I think the key to that for the Pirates is keeping Coughlin and Bonifacio off the bases.
Remember when he was a point or 2 behind David Wright? He comes into play tonight 10 points ahead of Wright. 348. David Wright's at 338 in that National League batting race.
Mets and Phillies just about to get underway. Big breaking ball from Morton. It's 1-2. There's your batting leaders. An injured Carlos Beltran at 336.
Yeah, he's on hold right now.
Jammed him. Andy LaRoche. 1-2-3 go the Fish. Chris Volstad back out. 1-0. Pirates. Into the second with Chris Volstad getting ready to face Garrett Jones. Andy LaRoche, Ramon Vasquez to follow. That score you just saw was from last week. You know how they have a 5-second delay on many radio call-in shows? That's like a 1-week delay on that score. Ugla throws to first in time.
You know, we do that occasionally just to keep our viewers on their toes.
Yeah, well,
we don't want you to sit back and relax. Freddie doesn't sit back and relax. He's always on his toes.
You know, for a split second, I saw that score and I thought to myself, oh my gosh, I prepared for the wrong team.
You were looking for Ty Wigginton again.
I know. I thought interleague was over. All right, the second half of the Brothers LaRoche act. Andy. And he takes down low. Andy, the third baseman out of the Dodgers organization. And he takes a strike.
He's one of those young players. He's 25, kind of at a crossroads. He's had a couple of opportunities, but never the opportunity that he's had this year playing every day. He had a few chances with the Dodgers. Now he's getting that everyday opportunity. And I remember when we talked to him in Pittsburgh, it was just a thrill for him to play with his brother, too.
And of course, their father, a major league pitcher. Fox Saturday Baseball. We were telling you about the Mets and the Phillies. They're playing momentarily. Tomorrow they'll be playing at 4 o'clock on Fox. Mets and Phillies on Fox Saturday Baseball. Ramon Vasquez, a relatively unknown guy, but has been hot, hitting .378 over the last week and a half, and he drills one to right field and deep. Hermida isn't going to get this one either.
That's amazing. You get Freddie Sanchez out of the lineup, and his replacement hits a 2-run bomb.
Vasquez with his first home run of the season. Guy that has spent parts of 9 seasons in the big leagues with a variety of teams.
Once again, a ball up in the strike zone. And that is not where Chris Volstad can pitch.
Here's Jaramillo, the rookie catcher. So it's 3-0 Pittsburgh already.
So much of pitches up in the zone for a guy 6'8" is release point. And if he just doesn't have that correct release point, then more pitches will stay up, and he's very hittable when he's in that range.
That's a foul ball. 2-2. Well, we told you at the start of the year, and something that was a real strength for Volstad last year was keeping the ball in the ballpark. So he's allowed 17 home runs already. Big chopper, and Volstad gathers it in and gets the out. That'll bring Morton up. And that was, the scouting report on Chris was his ability to keep it in the park. And one of his strengths. His 17 home runs allowed ties him for 6th in the National League. Bronson Arroyo has given up 20. Jamie Moyer 19. What you hear in the background is not Tommy's stomach. That is thunder around this ballpark. Bonifacio charges in, flips it over to first. But another home run, this one of the 2-run variety, bites Chris Volstad.
power stuff, you can't throw it by major league hitters in that area. And Chris knows that.
So the Marlins are going to have to get to Charlie Morton here. Cantu, Hermida, and Ugla get their first look at the slender right-hander. I know the All-Star break is on the horizon, but this is the halfway point tonight. This is game number 81. After tonight, the Marlins will have played the half of their schedule. Cantu drives it to right field. Moss has plenty of room and makes the catch.
Yeah, a guy who's patrolled left field and right field, mostly right field this year. And I think it's one of those statements that you hear often, but obviously in spring training, if somebody had told Freddie Gonzalez, you know, at the halfway point, you're going to be tied for first or thereabouts. Real close.
You know, baseball seems to be the only sport that really delineates the season as first half, second half. Even though the All-Star break doesn't fall right in the middle, 81 on either side, you don't hear football or basketball or even hockey saying, well, you know, he had a good first half, but he slumped in the second half.
Yeah, after those first 8 NFL games.
Hermida takes down low. There's always that mysterious guy had a great first half, but not in the second half. One of the guys that has really lived by that is in uniform here tonight, and that's Adam LaRoche, the first baseman of the Pirates.
He died in April's.
He has had just terrible first halves and then great second halves. Last year, LaRoche hit 174 in April. He's a career 182 hitter in April. But last year he hit 390 in July and finished at 270.
You look at his career numbers. Before the All-Star break, 253. After the break, almost 300, 297. So his track record's pretty good. You know, after a year or two, you might not be able to figure that out with a player, but he's been around long enough that's a trend.
And he's not quite in the second half. It's like another universe, a parallel existence. The first half, no. All-Star break, then the second half. Dan Ugla, a guy that struggled in the second half last year as well. Hermida sends that one in center. Tommy, we've got lightning and thunder dancing around. You can hear the thunder. We've seen some flashes of lightning. The game was delayed about a half an hour because of lightning in the area. And you know that the powers that be are keeping a close eye on what's going on around the ballpark, because if there is any danger to the players on the field or the fans in the seats, everybody will head to safer ground.
Yeah, the 30-minute delay, all of a sudden the ground crew starts to move around. During the delay, the tarp was never put on the field, but there was a lot of lightning and thunder in the background and in the area. Yeah, last year, Dan Ugla, 23 home runs before the break. Oh, there's a good changeup. Yeah, I think that might be the first one he's thrown tonight. And only 9 after the break. We told you that Charlie Morton has that good two-seam fastball. We've seen that. And a changeup. And he breaks the changeup out right there.
Oh, 2 to Ugla. You saw the grounds crew massing down by the Pirates bullpen
and getting the bullpen mound covered.
Boy, Morton has looked sharp. He's retired all 6 that he has faced. Rain delay buddies here in the third. We're not in a rain delay, but it looks like we're headed in that direction. Chris Volstad gets the top of the order. Andrew McCutchen, Jack Wilson, and Brandon Moss. Big breaking ball for a strike. McCutchen flied out in the first. Pirates have had two big swings of the bat. Brandon Moss and Ramon Vasquez, both with home runs.
Two good pitches to start this inning, and that curveball is another pitch we haven't seen as consistent from Chris Volstad. With the time being granted, Chris was in his windup, so he just kind of flipped it out back to the screen. No sense stopping right away. That's the way a pitcher sometimes can injure himself. There he goes. He just, okay. And another good curveball. See, we haven't seen the consistency in that pitch over the last few starts.
There's a breaking ball up the middle. Ugla backhands. McCutchen can fly. It's a heck of a play by Ugla, but McCutchen beats it rather easily.
Yeah, for Dan to get to that ball. And then McCutchen, it was fun watching him fly up the line. There's the pick. He's over on the shortstop side. And then Jorge Cantu comes off the bag. Now you really have to be alive. We've seen most teams come into town and take advantage of the Marlins and steal bases, and you have a guy with 4 stolen bases, but a guy with lightning speed. I hate to use that term.
Oh, what the heck. Wilson takes a strike. I'm not sure if Wilson's looking at his third base coach or watching the lightning dance and the thunder boom around the stadium. He bounced out back in the first.
Yeah, there's a fireworks show already underway.
McCutchen, a guy that has rung up some big stolen base numbers in the minor leagues, had 34 stolen bases last year. And he's running. Baker's throw not nearly in time. And the Marlins continue to give up stolen bases at an alarming rate.
And you think about it, they haven't played a lot of teams that run a whole lot. Something I think is going to have to change, especially when you have games against the Philadelphia Phillies and the way they run. Because every team that has faced off against the Marlins has run.
This is game number 81. That's stolen base number 83.
Wow.
See the raindrops coming? You see Jack Wilson with a pirate hat on as well up there on the scoreboard. Trying to go to the right side.
Yeah, clearly trying to move McCutchen over to third.
And he fouls it into the seats. Nobody out here in the third. Volstad's given up a pair of home runs.
Well, in a couple of years, it'll be fun to hear that thunder and hear that cracking thunder and lightning and be nice and cozy inside the retractable dome.
There's a soft roller out towards Hanley who bobbles it. I don't know that he gets Wilson, who runs well anyways.
Yeah, I don't think he does, because Wilson really leaned and was out of the box when he hit that ball and chopped it slowly. It climbs up Hanley's arm. I agree with you. I don't think he throws him out, but he's getting charged with an error. So not only does he move the runner over to third base, Jack Wilson reaches first as well.
And it's set up nicely for Brandon Moss. Brandon Moss hit a ball into the seats in the first inning. It didn't make the seats by much. Watch where this ball lands.
And again, a high fastball, just sneaking over the fence, just over the yellow line. Brandon Moss actually last year began the season with the Boston Red Sox.
He was part of that three-team Manny Ramirez, Jason Bay trade. I think it stings for Pirate fans to see Bay in the cleanup spot, having such a great year for the Red Sox right now. Had a great stretch drive last year. What's made it tough for Pirate fans is many of the names and players that the Pirates have received in trades like that, or even with the Nate McLouth trade, aren't guys that are major league ready. Many of those guys are in the minor leagues and are prospects. Ground ball up the middle, might be two, dropped by Ugla, out at second. And the Marlins have kicked it around here. The Pirates stretch their lead to 4-0.
Well, a tailor-made double play is just flat out booted by Dan Ugla. And all of a sudden you start to think, this Pittsburgh team, first of all, outplayed the Marlins in Pittsburgh. And here in the first 3 innings, they look like they're a first-place team. The Marlins look like they're in dead last. And if they don't start playing any better against the Pirates, they're going to get swept again this 3-game series.
Here's LaRoche, and he fouls it back. There's no error on the play. It goes as a fielder's choice and an RBI for Moss. His second of the ball game, and LaRoche, with the rain continuing.
It's got to be tough. Both sides. It has to be tough to concentrate out there right now.
Well, with the lightning and the thunder and now the rain, you're thinking to yourself, any minute now they're going to stop this.
Which they will. I mean, when there's lightning and thunder this close, they call you off the golf course.
Tim Cheetah, the crew chief.
He had a long conversation between innings with head groundskeeper Alan Sigwart.
Runner goes, breaking ball's high, and Baker's throw got him. Moss is out. He's in a little bit of disbelief. That's one of those where the runner beat the throw, but he was called out.
I'm not sure if he had a good slide. Well, it looked like the Marlins got a break. It looked like he beat the throw.
Oh,
and
clearly.
Had his foot on the bag.
He clearly
before
beat
the
it.
tag was applied.
So it's a caught stealing, and it counts 2-2 to LaRoche. Three-two coming. Changeup got him. But the Pirates add a run, and the rain continues to fall here in South Florida. PIN. There'll be food, music, games, and entertainment. 1-877-MARLINS or visit marlins.com for more information. Rain falling harder. Pirates up 4-0.
Obviously, Rich, they must know that this is passing and going to get through, because if they didn't think so, because there are some shades of lightness out there, if they didn't think so, they'd call this thing right now and put a halt to it. But they obviously have some information that we don't have. This is coming down pretty good.
Grounds crews ready. Tarp guys all lined up. Cody Ross with the count 1-1.
Where you have the raindrops coming off the helmet. See the drops falling in front of your eyes. Not easy.
Pirates endured a rain delay yesterday before and during their game against the Mets.
You can't play big league baseball in this kind of weather.
A 30-minute rain delay to start the night, and then actually it was more of a lightning delay. This is the first rain that's fallen on the ballpark. 3-2 coming. Morton doesn't look all that comfortable out there in this. But for the Fish, their first base runner. Here comes John Baker. Now, the Marlins don't have a long history against Charlie Morton. But if you look down the list of the guys that have faced him, Baker is 3 for 6. And that's the best of any Marlin. 2 of those 3 hits doubles. That would not be a double. I'm not sure Jaramillo sees it. And it's Andy LaRoche who does. And look at him wipe the rain out of his eyes.
Well, you're staring up into that rain. You don't have the bill of the cap to shield it, and that's going to be it for now, because Tim Cheetah, the crew chief, has called everybody off the field. I mean, it was getting where it's very dangerous when you're trying to play in situations like this, and so the tarp is going to be rolled out there, and as we always see, it's rolled out there as quick as anybody.
There they go.
And so for the 4th straight game of this homestand, the Marlins have a delay. Of course, they had a delay, as you mentioned, at the beginning of this game. That was not because of rain. It was because of lightning and thunder.
And this is the 2nd delay of the night. And for the Marlins, not a great start, obviously, to this night. Chris Volstad's given up 2 home runs. The Marlins infield kicked a couple balls here in the 3rd inning, and they trail 4-0 to it's a Pirate team that, even though they're minus some pieces from trades and Sanchez is not in there, they're a team that plays hard. They took the Mets into extra innings yesterday. Probably should have won that game.
Yeah, this is a team right now that appears to have the Marlins number, and you're going to have to do a few things to change that. I guess the interesting thing now, we'll see how long this delay lasts and how it affects both starting pitchers. And as you peruse the numbers, this is being the 2nd delay tonight. This is delay number 13 on the season already.
That's if you're scoring with this at home.
And over 700 minutes of delays, but almost 600 of those at home, if you're keeping score.
All right, so hang with us. The Marlins trailing the Pirates. We are officially in rain delay theater. Inside the Marlins, Andre Dawson is our offering to you. Stick around. truck type attachments for your thingamabob there, and just dump it all over. So that's the express way of getting the infield dry. Sunday is the end of the homestand, end of the series. It's a family Sunday, 1:10 with the Pirates. First 5,000 fans get a Marlins mini helmet radio courtesy of Geico. And kids can run the bases in the Diamond Dash after the game, 1-877-MARLINS, or visit marlins.com.
Pretty good matchup on Sunday. Ricky Nolasco, who's been on just a tremendous roll, 8 innings his last time out for a win against the Nationals. And he goes up against Ross Ohlendorf. If you remember that name, he threw 7 shutout innings against the Marlins in that series in Pittsburgh, with the Pirates sweeping that 3-game series. Ohlendorf and Karstens and Paul Mahalam all pitched that series.
BC's got a catcher's glove on.
He's always ready.
What's up with that? Charlie Morton and Chris Volstad will loosen back up. When we get back, more BC. Not sure if they'll still have the catcher's glove on, though. Pirates on top. We were talking about Brett Carroll. One of the award-winning series on Fox Sports Net has been Sports Science. They did something recently about an outfielder running into the wall and what that force is like. It's a very cool series in case you haven't seen it. So what we did was we took Brett Carroll's experience and the Sports Science experience, and we combined them for this.
Are different, and most have walls that are padded, but some outfield walls have no pads at all. So that got us wondering, what's the real difference between hitting a padded wall and an unpadded wall? So we drafted a guy who's been sacrificing his body on the silver screen for years. Hollywood stuntman, Sam Hargrave. And here on the Sports Science AstroTurf playing surface, we've constructed something for Sam to run into. Our little green monster. It's built to the exact specifications of a typical outfield wall, 8 feet high. On one section, we've attached a thin crash pad. And the other, it's nothing but solid, unforgiving wood. Accelerating up to 18 miles an hour, Sam slams into the wall with an overall force of almost 1,700 pounds. That's like falling 13 feet off the roof of your house. Sam barreled into the unpadded wall with the same speed and the same 1,700 pounds of force as he hit the padded wall. But this time, the tech scan sensors reveal that his shoulder felt over 150 pounds of that force. That 50 pounds of added force on the unpadded wall is like the difference between falling off your roof and landing on your driveway versus landing on your lawn.
So it comes as no surprise that the pad can certainly help diminish the blow, but it is not always the saving grace for a player. One guy who knows that very well is Brett Carroll, who ran into the wall in right center last year at this very spot. Now, you feel the warning track under your feet, but does that necessarily help you prepare for hitting the wall?
Well, unlike any other stadium, Dolphin Stadium is a little bit different because the warning track is rubber. Most stadiums are gravel or some kind of big difference between the grass and the warning track. So for me, another thing that wasn't working my advantage was I was wearing rubber spikes. So you mix that with rubber warning track with rubber spikes, and my first start with no extra adrenaline, I knew where I was, but not close to the wall.
And the pad didn't save you from serious injury. It lessened the blow, but you still got seriously hurt.
It lessened the blow, but I was still on the DL for 3 months, so it didn't help at all. Separated shoulder. So basically, the way I hit the wall, I started my jump, and my clavicle went down, my collarbone popped up. So,
is there a way to describe how hard that was?
The best way I can describe it is just, when it happened, feeling like I was just in a car wreck, of just being kind of sideswiped. Because I remember just hitting it and being completely obviously I knew I hit a wall, but I just completely, my whole head and everything was really disoriented.
It's a thing every outfielder, I'm sure, worries about.
Absolutely, especially when you're off the bat and you realize you might be able to make a play and help your pitcher and help the team, and next thing you know you're being wheeled off the field. So.
And that coming from one of the best defensive outfielders in the National League, Brett Carroll. And Frank, you've got more on this story.
Well, we want to first of all thank Brett for reliving what was a very painful incident in his major league career. Now, he hasn't played in every ballpark in his career, but I said, what's the one wall you really wouldn't want to run into? And he said, probably Wrigley. The ivy doesn't do much to soften the blow there with the bricks behind it. But it just goes to show you, even with the pad there, if an outfielder is running full force and concentrating on the baseball, just how much damage those walls can do. So very interesting piece from Sports Science. We tried to take it a step further by getting Brett Carroll to tell you about his experience running into the wall here. Guys?
Hey, Frank, we have an interesting development right now. The Marlins have Tim Wood up in the bullpen. The right-hander is throwing. This is the second delay of this ballgame. Chris Volstad obviously doesn't have his best stuff, but it did not seem to be a long enough delay that would indicate they would take Volstad out of the game. But with Wood up and Volstad on deck, it looks like rather than burn a pinch hitter, Volstad's going to hit and then be replaced by Wood.
Well, remember, there's a runner at first base, and he has given up 4 runs and just has not looked sharp. So I think in Freddie's mind, his decision, keep Chris in there, send him up to the plate to drop down a sacrifice bunt, maybe sneak a run in this inning, and then go with a fresh arm in Tim Wood, because I wouldn't think Wood would be warming up if he wasn't coming in the game.
Frank?
Yeah, guys, Tim Wood's a guy I actually talked to down in New Orleans a couple weeks ago when we were putting together our latest Inside the Marlins, or the one that will debut a week from tonight. Very easy kid to root for. As a 44th round draft pick, there weren't a lot of expectations. In fact, he is the lowest Marlin drafted ever to make the big league club in Florida Marlins history. The other thing is, he has had 2 major surgeries. He's had a labrum surgery in his shoulder and Tommy John surgery in his elbow. He spent 3 years at the Class A level. Now, generally speaking, if you can't make it past Class A in 3 years, your career might be done. But he stuck with it. The Marlins kept believing in him. Eventually worked his way up last season in the middle of the season to Double-A Carolina, and started this season in New Orleans before he got his call-up. He was only here on his first call-up for 2 days, didn't get to pitch, but the Marlins have brought him back, and he has been in some ball games. But a real easy kid to root for. He's been through a lot already in his professional baseball career, so it's good to see him make it up to this level.
And so Wood is getting ready. The Marlins have Cody Ross at first. And after John Baker had popped out, Volstad's going to come up and try to move Ross ahead with Coughlin on deck. So it's an odd way to restart this game with a guy that isn't going to be playing anymore at the plate.
The other thing to think about, 2 nights ago, Burke Badenhop threw 2 2/3 innings. So it might be a situation where you would look for him. This is where you have to really keep your concentration. You know you haven't pitched well. You know you're coming out of the game. But you're up there in a situation to try to help the ball club, maybe advance Cody Ross to second base with a nice sacrifice bunt.
Volstad takes down low, and it's 2-0. Now, the other question would be, what effect does this delay have on Charlie Morton? It's a 45-minute delay, so the Pirates might be a little concerned about their starter as well. Volstad drops down the bunt. LaRoche is going to get the out there, and the turn by Wilson, just like that, the inning ends. That is the way that the Marlins' night has gone so far through 3 innings. Adam LaRoche, a very good first baseman. It's 4-0. Well, as Frank told you, 44th round pick, an improbable journey to say the least. Tim Wood is on, and he comes into this ball game in the 4th. Wood is not a guy that really has been stretched out over long periods of innings this year. He's been pitching short relief.
Yeah, if you look at his 19 games in AAA, a nice 1.19 ERA. He had 4 appearances of 2 innings and everything else an inning, so 22 innings plus in AAA. So every time he went out there, he was either a 1 inning and just a handful of times a 2 inning guy. And this is a night where Freddie would like to get 2 or 3 out of Tim Wood.
Garrett Jones for the Pirates. Jones will be followed by Andy LaRoche and Ramon Vasquez. The good news is for the Marlins, the day off yesterday, so you would expect just about everybody in the pen would be available. The bad news is there are no more days off until the All-Star break, and this is the last thing you want to do to start a stretch like that, is have your starter fizzle out after 3 innings.
I like to get a little more good news. Is there's a lot of baseball left. We're only in the top of the 4th inning here.
Into left field, Coughlin makes the catch. 1 out, 4th inning, duck time. only Pirate to win 2 National League MVP awards. Clemente, Stargell,
And those Stargell,
Bonds.
those are all 3 good guesses. Dave Parker. Dave Parker won a couple of batting titles.
Bill Madlock win a batting title as a Pirate,
Yes, and as a Cub.
but not as a Giant.
No.
Andy LaRoche is up. Over Wood. Ugly there.
I'm just thinking about it. Bill, because Bill Madlock was with the Giants a little bit. He was kind of a shorter version of Pablo Sandoval. A little bit of right-handed hitter.
We will see Pablo Sandoval and the Giants on Monday night. If you want a good read, MiamiHerald.com has got a great story on Tim Wood. Clark Spencer writing it, and it documents his rise from obscurity, from basically center field for his high school team in Tucson. It's a great story. He played center, and all the scouts came out to see J.J. Hardy, of course, the Brewers shortstop. And his coach brought him in to pitch just out of the blue on the first in time. Scouts saw him, liked him, and that kind of started his journey to the big leagues. Sponsor of the timeout by Prestige Audi, just 2 minutes south of Aventura Mall. 1-866-7-MY-AUDI today. And by Quikrete for affordable home improvement projects. Visit quikrete.com. For nothing, the Pirates on top of the Marlins. The Marlins still looking for their first hit. This is the second time through for Coghlan, Bonifacio, and Hanley against Charlie Morton. Coghlan. It's been a busy day for Vasquez out there at second. Charlie Morton's got the good sinker going. Duck season.
I think it was one of those names that you mentioned.
Barry Bonds.
Barry Bonds, who, regardless of what you may think, prior to all the big home run years with the Giants, was pretty much a Hall of Fame player, even in his Pittsburgh Pirate days.
Here is Bonifacio, which on a night where Manny Ramirez steps back into Major League Baseball after a 50-game suspension. Here's the 1-0. That one is fouled back. You wonder if, and And obviously you and I are not there, but just you get the sense that in Dodger land, all is forgiven. Everyone's happy to have Manny back. Would the same be the case in San Francisco if Bonds were to come back now, or in St. Louis if McGuire were to come back now?
Possibly in St. Louis with McGuire, but not in San Francisco with Bonds. And that's just a perception, an attitude, especially an attitude that Bonds had. But Manny's the lovable, huggable Manny, and people forgive him easily.
And yet, out of the three, he's the only guy that has tested positive for something.
All right, look it over.
Our Toyota trend. Bonifacio's hitting streak is a career high. He, like a few others in the lineup, bounced to second in his at-bat.
And by the way, the Dodgers, without Manny, and with a great performance over those weeks by Juan Pierre, played 7 or 8 games over 500, and I think gained a half game in the standings.
You would expect Juan Pierre will get more playing time now than he was getting before Manny was Manny, so to speak.
Well, first of all, he's not going to play every day, so he'll spell him once in a while. He'll spell Kemp. He'll spell Ethier. Second time around, especially for the lefties, you talked about the ground balls. With a guy like Morton with that good heavy sinker, if you're a lefty and you try to pull him, you're not going to have much success.
Struck him out. That comeback fastball came back and got the plate.
Boy, look at the movement. He has faced the minimum amount of hitters because he had that walk, the leadoff walk in the 3rd inning of Cody Ross, but the double play helped him out.
So Charlie Morton has not given up a hit with 2 outs here in the 4th. Hanley bounced to 3rd.
Hanley was trying to make it 11 straight games with an RBI on one swing.
That's the problem with the guy like Morton, is you can't make it all up on one swing. He's a very hard guy to hit the ball out of the ballpark on. Giving up just a homer in his 3 starts.
I'll tell you what, he has shown some outstanding pitches. This last breaking ball, whether it was a strike or not, it's questionable. But he's had good bite on that pitch, and we've seen a few good changeups as well to go along with that hard 2-seam fastball.
2 pair of glasses at Pearl.
That's a strike.
Wow.
Did you see how far outside Jaramillo set up? And Morton missed so badly, he threw a strike. Look at this. Let me reach back and catch this.
En español vía SAP y es presentado por KFC. Los Marlins.
Hi, guys.
Rich, tell me, how are you?
Richie, how are you?
Good.
Good, good. How do you say rain delay in Spanish?
Demora por lluvia.
That sounds so sad.
Pop up en el campo corto.
It
para
is.
nada. It is sad, man. We thought we were going to probably get out of here a little earlier tonight at 6 o'clock start, but the rain didn't help out.
Hey, Cookie, I have a question. At what point, when you're facing a guy like Morton who has not given up a hit yet, do you, on the bench, you say, hey, we got to get a hit here? He hasn't given up a hit yet.
Well, absolutely, but he's throwing 93 miles an hour with a very good slider, and he's got good control. So, there's a guy that you haven't seen that much, so you're going to try to do the best you can, trying to hit the ball the other way up the middle. I think that would say the best way to try to do it.
1-0 pitch. Morton takes a strike.
He's got a lot of action also on that fastball.
Yes.
Tailing in on the lefty.
And not a good night for Chris Volstad tonight.
No, he was up in the zone all the time and behind in the count.
All right, guys, have a good show.
You too, fellas.
Wood out in front of the count, 1-2. There's a ground ball towards third. Bonifacio flips across in time. Our Hyundai Road ahead is right ahead. There it is. No TV tomorrow. Sunday, we're back at it at 12:30. Monday, high definition in San Francisco. Late night with the Fish. Sun Sports on a Monday and Wednesday. Wednesday is a 3:30 start.
You have to love the way Tim Wood has come in this game and thrown nothing but strikes. He's faced 5. He's retired 5. He's done just what Freddie Gonzalez and Mark Wiley wanted to see.
So at his high school game, when his coach told him to come in and pitch,
Yeah.
Jim Fleming was there, who was then the Expos Vice President of Player Development. Then he moved over to the Marlins. Fleming drafted him with the Expos as a draft and follow. He didn't sign. 22nd rounder with Montreal. He went to junior college. Fleming moved over to the Marlins along with Scott Stanley, also an Expo scout at the time. And they decided to try a 44th round pick on him. And he ends up a Marlin.
And look at that. 6 up, 6 down quickly. A 9-pitch inning for Tim Wood.
AT, the nation's fastest 3G network. Jorge Cantu, Jeremy Hermida, and Dan Ugla against Charlie Morton. He throws a 1-0 pitch to the plate, and that misses inside. Steve Cardamone, the world's most dangerous tape room, doing a nice job on the AT Rapid Rewind. See, rain delays to us. We go out, get something to eat. Everybody in the truck works hard on the AT Rapid Rewind.
Yeah, you always have to be alive because you never know when Steve Cardamone is taping.
Yeah. It's a good point. Here's the 3-0. That is a ball, and for Morton, it's his second walk of the night. Still no hits for the Fish. Frank, what's up?
All right, we're with Summer Ross, wife of Cody Ross, and tomorrow is the Florida Marlins Wives Tackle Box Auction. It all benefits the SOS Children's Village, and the wives get together and they put together.
Well, I think Frank is probably asking her about the tackle box, and she's probably saying, you know, it's filled with all kinds of cool stuff.
And it's a great item.
And in fact, I think in Cody's tackle box are batteries that might help Frank's microphone. There's a strike.
So quick, get to Cody's tackle box.
Get the batteries
Get the
out.
batteries and give them to Frank.
It's been one of those nights. Time called by Jaramillo. Marlins had a base runner in the third when the rains came. Hermida, there's a base hit in the right field. Moss quickly on it. So the Fish have the first two aboard here in the fifth.
And are able to get their first base hit off Charlie Morton. So that kind of solves a little bit. You get a base runner, get a base hit. Now you have to keep it going because nobody out here in this fifth inning. Good swing, good stroke, a line shot off the bat of Hermida.
So it's Ugla now. Morton has struck out 3. He's walked 2. And the Marlins really hadn't barreled any up and come close to any hits before the Hermida line drive. This is kind of the script, though, that the Marlins followed against Washington. Fall behind early. All of a sudden wake up in the middle innings.
Yeah, and it's kind of gotten the fans back in the game. Fans haven't had a whole lot to cheer about.
Fastball is up. This copyrighted telecast presented by authority of the Marlins. May not be reproduced, retransmitted in any form. Accounts, descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Joe Kerrigan and the Florida Marlins.
Well, Pirate pitching coach out there, Joe Kerrigan, one of the well-respected pitching coaches, very good over the years. Also managed briefly with the Red Sox. The other thing with Morton out there, and because of the delay, the second delay, 45 minutes, he's not going to go 9 innings. So they just want to get him through 5-6 innings without too much damage. On the other hand, the Marlins have an opportunity maybe to get to him here in this fifth inning.
Nice job by Ugla to lay off that sinker.
That ball had a lot of sink to it as well.
You get all the Florida sports information you need on Sun Sports, Fox Sports Florida, on Twitter. Here's the 3-0 pitch. And it's a strike. Dan Ugla at the plate. The Marlins have won 8 of 11, 3 in a row, having just swept the Nationals But the Pirates have come in, hit 2 long balls. Brandon Moss, Ramon Vasquez, knocking Chris Volstead out of the ballgame. Ugla pulls 1 foul. Charlie Morton, who was part of the Nate McLouth trade, coming over from the Braves, had not given up a hit until Jeremy Hermida ripped one into right field. The Marlins have already brought Tim Wood out of the bullpen, and now Chris LaRue is loosening up. The pitcher's spot is 3 batters away from Ugla, with nobody out and runners first and second. 3-2 coming. Ugla got jammed on what was ball 4.
Boy, I think he just got fooled at the movement. A terrific amount of movement on that 2-seamer. It wasn't down, but it just took off in on the hands of Dan Ugla.
So here comes Cody Ross.
Yeah, I think the trade, you mentioned it, with Morton coming over for Nate McLouth, along with Gorkys Hernandez and Jeff Locke. But it's one of those trades that down the road, you may see the benefits, certainly for the Pirates.
And that's been the frustrating thing for Pirate fans, is the majority of the trades that they've made over the last couple of seasons, including this year, they see big names going out, Nady, Bay, McLouth, and in return they get the Gorkys Hernandez and Charlie Mortons and young kids, guys that are prospects. Jose Tabata, one of their top outfield prospects, came over from the Yankees. But they don't see the results yet in Pittsburgh. And that's not only frustrated Pittsburgh fans, but this week it frustrated Pittsburgh players.
And they also have, in a couple of years, hope to have Pedro Alvarez, one of their top, their #1 draft pick.
Out of Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
They picked a catcher out of Boston College with their first pick of the draft, the 4th overall. Did he get sawed off out there, and that's it. So when Morton has had to make pitches in this inning, he's gotten Ugla out and Ross out.
And on two seamers that have just buzzsawed inside, tied up Dan Ugla for the pop fly, and this completely saws off Cody Ross. The force out the only play the Pirates had at second base. We've talked about it too, Rich. Down the road, yes, we've seen Hanley just carry a ball club, but pretty soon you're going to have a couple of other guys take charge, get some big base hits, drive in some runs as well.
Baker popped out. Here's De Aza on deck. LaRue's ready. Jason Jaramillo is a rookie catcher, but he's done a pretty nice job. Ryan Domit, their regular catcher, injured. Now with a wrist injury.
Yeah, that happened just before the Marlins got to Pittsburgh. It happened early on this season. And Jaramillo started catching then. And he's done a nice job.
Baker steps out. Morton's fastball misses inside. It's 1-2 to John Baker. The inning opened promisingly with Cantu walking, Hermida singling. But then Ugla popped out.
I think it's also clear to see that Morton's not afraid to come inside.
He's one of those guys where when he releases it, you're not sure where it's going, and it looks like he's not real sure where it's going because he's got such great movement. His ball will dive in, it'll dive out. And it will do that. Good sharp breaking ball. Well, the Marlins' fifth goes up in smoke, and the Pirates are still on top. Battery pack microphone ready to go. Back to you, Frank.
And we are with Summer Ross, Cody's wife, and tomorrow is the Marlins Wives Tackle Box Auction. It's all for the benefit of the SOS Children's Village. And Summer, first of all, what time does it start, and how long are you going?
Gates open 4:30. Bidding starts right when gates open, and the last table closes in 7th inning.
And these are all tackle boxes filled with individual items that are particular to that player, autographed equipment. What are some of the things in Cody's tackle box?
We have a bag of Goobers because that is his favorite candy. We have a Starbucks gift card, favorite coffee, and he has a team signed bat, autographed cleats, autographed batting gloves, a signed ball.
Just all kinds of goodies.
All kinds of fun stuff.
Now, where did the Goobers thing come from?
Goobers are, it came from movie theater. It came from when we went to the movies. We go to the movies, and Goobers is his favorite candy, and now I have to keep them stocked in the house.
Well, it's a great charity, SOS Children's Village, and I know the wives are involved in this every year. So you want all the fans to come out, bid on this stuff, because I got to look at it. We just showed some. It's some great individual signed stuff you really can't get anywhere else.
It's really a fun event. We have each box is very different. It's all just individualized to that certain player's hobbies and favorites, and it's just really cool to come in and check it out.
And Summer was telling me, guys, that we showed you the feature on Sean West earlier this week about how he loves to play the drums. Signed drumsticks from Sean West in his tackle box.
Nice.
So come on out. It's section 149, the community corner, for the Wives Tackle Box Auction tomorrow on the 4th of July. Rich?
On the 4th of July
That's
tomorrow.
good stuff. That's some really good individual stuff in each of those tackle boxes.
2-1 pitch is fouled back. Tim Wood facing Brandon Moss. Moss has got a couple of RBIs in this ball game, a homer in the first. Bounced into a fielder's choice, and that drove in a run in the third. In the air left field. Coughlin grabs it, so there's 2 outs here in the 6th. Our Cabot Wood, legendary performance. Braves pitcher Tony Cloninger becomes the first National League player with 2 grand slams in a game. That back in 1966.
Tony Cloninger, a longtime pitching coach in the big leagues as well. Could have been a hitting coach. Do you realize the more you see Chris Coughlin go after fly balls and line drives, all of a sudden you forget that he once was a second baseman and he's learning a new position?
You know, I think the guy that you want to compare him to in that transition is Ryan Braun, because Braun was an infielder in college and coming up in the Brewers system, and had a disastrous start at third. And the Brewers made a decision that he probably couldn't play third at that point defensively, and shipped him out to left field, and he's become a pretty good left fielder. Adam LaRoche into center field.
Well, just the first base hit given up by Tim Wood after retiring 8 straight.
Number 46, Garrett Jones.
Here's Garrett Jones. You know how hard it is to hit for the cycle. Well, Jones yesterday,
and of course the easiest one is the single.
I know he had the he had everything but the single, and he had a chance for the single. I want to say it was the 9th inning when he came up and hit a hard one-hopper at the second baseman.
Think about we've talked about it. There've been fewer cycles than no-hitters, but think about hitters over the years. You don't see that many opportunities for a guy coming up his 4th, 5th at bat to hit for the cycle. So that's really special, and as we tell you all the time, the Marlins have never had a hitter hit for the cycle.
Jones is a guy that, there's the last cycle, Darrell Ward. Jones is a guy that came up through the minor leagues, spent a long time in the minor leagues, 7.5 years. He was an original draft pick of the Braves.
A lot of home runs, big home run hitter in the minor leagues.
Got to the big leagues for 31 games in 2007 with the Minnesota Twins, and spent all of last year in AAA with the Twins. But he's persevered. He's getting his shot at 28. And he walks.
Oh, come on!
Now you don't want to let this inning get out of hand. Certainly Freddie wants Tim Wood to finish this inning because he's the first batter to hit. So he'll pinch hit for him. He doesn't want to go to the bullpen and have to bring somebody in just to get an out. So he'd love to see Tim Wood get Andy LaRoche right here.
Right. He can call.
Andy with a big cut fouls it back to the screen. So their father was a left-handed pitcher in the big leagues.
Long time. Had a nice career. And he has 2 sons. One a first baseman, a left-handed hitter. One a third baseman, a right-handed hitter.
2 position players.
Got it all covered.
Yeah. Well, at least he was able to throw BP to them when they were growing up.
And still involved in the game. I'm not sure what organization he's with, but he is a pitching coach in the minor leagues. Dave LaRoche pitched for the Twins and the Angels, the Cubs, a little bit with Cleveland, the Yankees. So it makes it easy for Mom when she comes to travel to see her boys play.
That's right. Used to be a little tougher, one with Los Angeles, one with Atlanta. Now toward short. Hanley's flip just barely in time to get Jones. Pirates on top, 4-0. In comes Wood.
Well, some nice sliders, some good two-seamers, attacking the hitters. Got a little help from the defense. And you love to see pitchers come out of the bullpen the way Tim Wood did. He retired the first 8 hitters that he faced until he gave up that single to Adam LaRoche. So it was good to see him do what he did. He's kept his ball club in the game. Now the Marlins need to try to get a little offense going. Alejandro De Aza starts things. So some cues for Tim Wood.
Charlie Morton has a bunch of those as well, and that's the problem for the Fish. De Aza swings at a changeup. 0-2. De Aza pinch hitting here. Pitch did not really miss inside, but it did miss up. It's 1-2. The only base hit, the line drive by Hermida in the 5th. That one clipped Jaramillo.
All of a sudden, as Jaramillo shakes things off, the Chicago Cubs making a little noise. They've beaten the Brewers 2 in a row. Got a big day from Derek Lee yesterday. D. Lee with a couple of home runs, a grand slam, had 7 RBIs. Then they came back and in extra innings beat the Brewers 2-1 today.
Yeah, they had a walk-off win. That one misses out.
So the Cubs now a game and a half out of first place. Our crack staff's always involved, and you know it's nice to know they always listen. And we're finding out that Dave LaRoche is the pitching coach in Las Vegas for the Blue Jay organization.
That's a tough ballpark to be a pitching coach. It's good hitters park.
Good hitters park.
Cashman Field. 2-2. Joe Kerrigan has made a real difference with the Pirates. Pirates pitching staff is pretty good. Their bullpen has been better than the rotation. Pirates pen this season has an ERA of under 4, a 3.89 ERA. That pitch misses out. No swing.
Yeah, it's amazing with the delays. It seems like Charlie Morton's been out there forever. But as he works here in the 6th inning, he's thrown 74 pitches.
Well, he's going. He didn't start warming up until about, what, 6:20? But he's been out there 2.5 hours, or at least involved in this game. Deaza walks. Super Saturday on July 4th, featuring a post-game concert with KC and the Sunshine Band. A special 4th of July fireworks spectacular, all presented by Geico. The Marlins and the Pirates tomorrow night at 6:10. And the fans get a Marlins patriotic cap courtesy of Napa Auto Parts. 1-877 Marlins. Chris Coughlin.
Good eye, good eye.
Coughlin's 0 for 2. And he's done exactly what Charlie Morton has wanted him to do. That's roll over and hit a ground ball to the second baseman.
Sooner or later, the Marlins are going to take advantage of the leadoff walk. They weren't able to do so in the 3rd. They weren't able to do so last inning.
Adam Dunn is homered, and the Nationals are giving Atlanta all they would ask for. It's 5-5 in the 7th.
Rich, what do you think? Do you think Adam Dunn will be an all-star this year?
Absolutely, I think so.
I hope so. I like Adam Dunn.
That one just missing, and it's 3-1.
Plus, he gives you in an all-star game, he will give Charlie Manuel a nice weapon on the bench.
Did you see that Major League Baseball has added one extra player to the All-Star teams? Coughlin is aboard, and the managers can use that extra position however they want. If they want to name a guy out of a career achievement award, much like a Cal Ripken or a Tony Gwynn at the end of their career.
Yeah, over the years, I know that subject used to come up, so it could be somebody like that then, not necessarily someone who's having a great year.
Or they can use it for a starting pitcher who would be their emergency pitcher, like a Tim Wakefield or somebody like that, if you get to the 12th or the 13th inning, because the problem is with relief pitchers in the All-Star game, they're all closers, and you don't want to throw somebody's closer more than an inning. And if all of a sudden you get into extra innings, you run out of closers.
Well, you saw Joel Hanrahan warming up. The last time we saw him, he was with the Nationals. Last time I saw him, he was playing cards in the clubhouse. He got traded a couple of hours, and he wanted to hang around and play cards with his buddies a little bit longer.
Bonifacio takes outside.
It's the makings of something to happen here, and you've got to make him pitch. And Bonifacio can set the stage for the big hitters that are behind him. Taking all the way. And right now, Charlie Morton can't find the plate. All that movement that you were talking about last inning now is taking him out of the strike zone.
Yeah, makes him tough to hit, but sometimes it can make it hard for him to find the plate. Pirates bullpen working. Bonifacio runs up. 2-1. One of the problems when you run up like that is you take the strike zone away from an umpire.
And usually a borderline pitch is going to be called a strike when you do that. who's on deck.
Full count now, 3-2. With Diaz at second, Coughlin at first, nobody out. This is for Bonifacio. You see the pitch count on Morton. This is where plate discipline comes into play. The ability to have confidence enough to take a close pitch for ball 4 rather than just hack at it. Pulls that one on the ground. LaRoche gets it out there. And the Marlins will have runners at the corners with Hanley coming up.
This is where Hanley has to go into that RBI mode, the mode that he's been in so well last 10 games. So many of his base hits to drive in runs have been the other way.
Runners in scoring position, Hanley above and beyond. Look at the two names behind him.
Look at David Eckstein.
Let's bring it over, Hanley.
Escobar and Eckstein. Three middle infielders. There's all those big burly first basemen and high-priced outfielders.
That's a great list.
Hanley's bounced out, was called out on strikes. Up and in. Now, Hanley has driven in a run in 10 consecutive. Major League record is 17. Ray Grimes, long ago,
last National League player to have 11 straight games with an RBI is Mike Piazza. Hanley's the only shortstop in the National League ever to have RBIs in 10 consecutive games. That's what, when you start seeing statistics that say the only National League shortstop ever in the history of games.
Hits a ball off the end of the bat. Wilson's out there. And this won't get it done. So Charlie Morton, who wobbled in the 5th when he had runners first and second and nobody out, is an out away from getting out of it again.
Boy, he got a little backup slider that came back in the zone. He pulled the trigger. He picked it up and saw it, but pulled the trigger a little too quickly and hit it on the end of the bat. And Charlie Morton an out away from wiggling out of another jam.
So it's up to Cantu if the Marlins are going to get anything out of this inning. It's you know, he can't be an easy catch either. I mean, it can't be an easy night for Jaramillo behind there with all the movement Morton has.
You know, he'll make some pitches that have missed badly. You know, some sliders and fastballs take them. Then all of a sudden, just a nasty changeup, a perfect pitch. So as a hitter, this is a hard guy to figure out.
One of the toughest things for the Pirates to do in the late 90s and on in through this season is develop young pitching. It's tough for any organization, but the Pirates had a run of first-round draft picks that had arm injuries and health issues. So if Morton can become a quality big league starter, then the sting of losing a guy like McLeod obviously would wear off. Cantu breaks his bat. That ball is caught. Jones runs it down. And the Marlins strand 2 more. Apple Pie Chevrolet and Fat Men Dancing. Nothing says baseball like that. It's 4-0. The Pirates on top of the Marlins in the 7th.
Boy, just in the last 2 innings alone, Rich, for Charlie Morton, he's thrown 45 pitches as Chris LaRue gets ready to work here. 3 walks, 1 hit. The Marlins, over those 2 innings, 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position. So they've had opportunities. They just haven't been able to put him away.
Tim Wood with 3 scoreless innings. Ramon Vasquez takes outside. Chris Volstad started in his 3 innings. He gave up 2 long balls, 4 runs, all of them earned, on only 3 hits.
Yeah, the Pirates with just 4 hits tonight. 3 off Chris Volstad, just the 1 off Tim Wood. This guy has a good arm. The more you see Chris LaRue, you see that heavy sinker, good slider.
Vasquez pops up a bunt, and it's out of play. We told you that the Braves and the Nationals were tied 5-5. The Braves have just taken the lead and are now up 8-5.
Boy, Manny Acta having to dip into that bullpen again.
That's the problem in this game and in this series, is the Pirates bullpen is pretty good, and you can't afford to hang around and feel like you'll come storming back every night against these guys, because Matt Capps is at the back of the pen, and there's some good arms in the middle of the pen for the Pirates.
Number 35, catcher Jason Jaramillo.
Now LaRue's going to have to work after that leadoff walk to Vasquez.
Jaramillo out of Racine, Wisconsin. He was originally with the Phillies, and he ended up going from Philadelphia to Pittsburgh in a trade involving Ronnie Paulino.
Now to Oklahoma State.
We've mentioned that the Pirates have traded some guys in the last month. McLeod, Morgan, Burnett. They also traded Eric Hinsky to the Yankees for a couple of minor leaguers, and the Pirates are actually having to pick up some of Hinsky's salary, which sounds odd when you
trade somebody to the Yankees.
Yes. As well, tonight they are playing without Freddie Sanchez. Sanchez, in case you've just joined us, when getting out of a cab to the ballpark, felt something tighten in his back. That flare is going to drop. Coghlan picks it up, throws to second in time, heads up play.
Oh, that's a thing of beauty, because that tells you he's thinking about that all the way in, trying to get to that little bloop base hit off the bat of Jaramillo. If you're not thinking ahead, you're not going to make this play. He short hops it and then immediately comes up and throws to Dan Uggla. And you can't fault the runner, Vasquez. He's not sure where to go because of where the ball was hit.
That goes as a fielder's choice.
Yeah, that takes the hit away from Jaramillo.
Fielder's choice 7-4. And Charlie Morton's day is done. Looks like Delwyn Young, the former Dodger, is going to step in.
The guy wasn't really going anywhere with all those young, talented outfielders the Dodgers have. So he's gotten a chance.
Not to be confused with Delman Young, the former Ray, now twin, who was the brother of Dimitri Young. This is Delwyn Young. Grew up in Los Angeles. His dad and his grandfather both played in the minor leagues.
He's done a good job when he's got a chance to play. The last 13 starts, he's hit over 350, but he's also gotten 7 pinch hits this year, so he's done a nice job off the bench.
Up the middle, right over the bag and into center field. Another pinch hit for Delwyn Young. The Mermaids Summer Dance Camp is back. Camp begins Monday the 13th. Is open to both boys and girls, ages 7 to 15. Kids will enjoy a week of fun with the Mermaids and have the opportunity to perform their own dance routine on the field during a Marlins game. For details, 1-877-MARLINS. Mark Wiley out to talk to LaRue with the McCutcheon coming up.
You gotta remember, this started with a leadoff walk, but I say that the Marlins have had the last 2 innings start with a leadoff walk. The Marlins, the last 2 innings, have had a leadoff walk, and in last inning another walk, so they've had 2 men on base with nobody outs each of the last 2 innings and haven't been able to bring anybody home.
Number 22, center fielder, Andrew McCutcheon.
Now McCutcheon is 1 for 3.
Stand up, Andrew.
McCutcheon takes inside our Firestone leaderboard. Hit leaders, team hit leaders in the National League. The Pirates are 3rd in batting in terms of average and 3rd in hits.
told you to stand.
Marlins are right behind him.
Phillies with a nice 7-2 lead over the Mets in the 7th inning. Philadelphia trying to figure out how to get some consistency at home. They came into their game tonight against the Mets 13-22 at home.
Young and Vasquez. McCutchen hits a fly ball left field, hits it pretty well. Coughlin going back to the wall, leaps and won't get it. It bounces off the wall. Ross waits the hop. Young will stop at third. Just one across. As Jaramillo came in to score, McCutchen has his second hit of the ball game.
Well, and so far you have to like what you've seen in Andrew McCutchen. Second base hit tonight. He has a stolen base. Over the head of Coughlin. No chance. Well played by Cody Ross to back it up. That's one of the reasons that Young had to stay at third.
$5-0 game. Jack Wilson with the infield in.
Yeah.
You wonder if Jack Wilson might be the next to go, because he would be.
They better have a pretty good one ready to play short.
He would be a valuable addition. His contract has an option for next year at $8 million.
I remember we heard his name bounced around in trade rumors when we were in Boston.
Yeah. He's a high energy guy and always near the top of the range factor standings when it comes to grading out shortstops. In fact, right now he leads all National League shortstops in range factor.
Was actually originally drafted by St. Louis. Which is interesting that he would be a St. Louis type player too.
Yeah, you know, I was just
Tony La Russa guy.
I was just about to say that would be another team that he really would sparkle with. Not that he hasn't sparkled here. He's been an all-star in Pittsburgh. Last year he was so injured. He had calf injury, shoulder injury, finger injury. Thousand Oaks, California. Former training camp home of the Dallas Cowboys. That one I could never quite figure out. How did the Cowboys end up in Thousand Oaks?
Yeah, right outside Los Angeles.
Yeah. That is a fair ball. Jack Wilson's got himself an RBI or two. He'll drive in two, and he is safe as he sneaks in before the tag of Ugla. And the Pirates have cracked this one open. Give credit to this ball club.
Boy, this ball is stung. No chance for Bonifacio, just over the bag. Again, a nice play by Coughlin to make this pretty close at second base.
Moss fouls it back. So doubles by McCutchen and Wilson. Roller up the middle. Ugla in the dirt. Cantu has to pick it out.
Been a rough night for Daniel out there at second base. He almost threw one away there.
Number 25, first baseman Adam LaRoche.
Here is LaRoche.
Well, a couple of more games left against the Pirates after tonight. The Marlins are going to have to do a little homework to figure them out.
Well, they're going to have to get better starting pitching than they got tonight. Chris Volstad, just the 3 innings, and certainly the rain delays didn't help him. But Charlie Morton had to pitch through the rain delays, and he did.
And he pitched very effectively, and the Marlins have had chances.
Tomorrow night, Zach Duke, a lefty who's 8-6 with a 3.13 ERA against Andrew Miller. It's Nolasco and Ohlendorf on Sunday.
I got a question. If you look at this Pirate team, who is their all-star, or who are their all-stars?
I think Freddie Sanchez would be my pick. Sanchez having a solid year at the plate. He's always near the top of the list in doubles.
25 doubles, hitting .316. Let's see how far atop that list he is. He's below Hanley Ramirez and Miguel Tejada.
Pretty good place to be. Chris LaRue strikes out Adam LaRoche. And the Pirates stretch the lead.
Coming off Chris Volstad, who pitched just 3 innings in this one tonight. The rains had a lot to do with that. Couple of delays in this game. Look at that rainbow. Beautiful. Well, that rainbow, I think the pot of gold was right there on the mound for Charlie Morton. He was tremendous in his 6 innings tonight. He had movement with the fastball. He had a good slider and an excellent changeup. I think all were impressed. Saw off a number of hitters. Cody Ross, Jorge Cantu, broke a number of bats, and I'm sure pleased John Russell, his manager, and Joe Kerrigan, his pitching coach.
All right, the guy that you saw playing cards in the clubhouse is now pitching. Joel Hanrahan, just acquired from the Washington Nationals. Hanrahan, one of the many Nationals that was given an opportunity to close. You can see the save and the save opportunities. It did not go well for him, nor has it gone well for anybody trying to finish games for the Nationals this year.
Yeah, this is his second appearance as a Pirate, and he still can't get rid of that red hat.
Here's the 3-1 pitch. Hermida. LaRoche flips to first in time. We check in with Frank Ford. Frank?
All right, thanks very much, Rich. One of the things that went on before today's ball game, the folks from the Chef David's Kids Foundation were here this afternoon. It's an organization very similar to Make-A-Wish, where they grant wishes to sick or ill kids. 8-year-old Bryant Zaldivar was here. Now, he was born with a cleft palate, a condition which, of course, requires a number of surgeries. What he got was the Teammate for a Day package, and he got to come to the Marlins game. He got to have his own locker in the clubhouse, a bag of Marlins gear, and as you can see, he was on the field with the Marlins for batting practice before the game. This is all for the Chef David's Kids Foundation. They do this. They work with over 40 children's hospitals throughout the United States to provide these trips and packages for these kids who spend a lot of time in hospitals. And their address is chefsdavidskids.com if you want to find out more information. Rich?
Well, that was great to see. I think Jorge Cantu had just as much fun, too.
Dan Ugla. Hanrahan, a guy that, as Tommy pointed out, would be used as a seventh inning guy, and so it's the seventh inning, and here he is.
And here he is. That's what Joe Kerrigan told me before the game.
And a guy, Tommy, whose stuff is the Nationals felt that way, and I think the Pirates feel that way. He has stuff and the chance and upside, I guess, that he could one day be a closer.
Well, and here's the thing. All of a sudden, their bullpen, Brian Sanchez getting ready, becomes very good if he throws the way he can and is their seventh inning. And now you have a guy with closer stuff working in your seventh inning. And I think that's obviously the hope for the Pirates.
Ugla goes down. So Hanrahan comes in and gets a couple of outs. And here is Cody Ross. I think Hanrahan probably would echo the words of Dan Meyer after Meyer's first save opportunity, in that the ninth inning is a totally different animal than anything else you can do as a pitcher. Start, coming in the fifth, coming in the seventh, or the eighth.
And you see the stuff, that last fastball, 95.
Ross drives that one to right center field, hits it well. McCutcheon on the run, almost got there, picks it up, and holds Ross to a double. It's our first look at Andrew McCutcheon. We were told he has great speed and great range, and he darn near ran that one down. And then made a tremendous sliding pickup.
Well, I was watching him track this ball, hit well by Cody to the opposite field. It's our checkers double of the game. It's the second hit for the Marlins and their first extra base hit. But almost didn't become an extra base hit. McCutcheon sliding and then picking it up as he's on the ground. Look at this. Couldn't quite get it, but then keeps the concentration. Little pop-up slide and got it back into the infield.
So Cody has to settle for a double. Baker's at the plate. Marlins just trying to get on the board right now. Baker lifts it in the air to left field. Jones back. He looks up, and it's off the wall. It'll score Ross. Baker has a double. And so the Marlins finally get on the board.
Boy, two good swings, opposite field doubles. John Baker out over the plate. And look at his eyes on the ball. It's a great shot. And that's what hurt about the 3 runs in the top half of the inning that the Pirates were able to put together off Chris LaRue.
Ross glowed now. All this coming after 2 are out. Ross has had a solid year filled with some key hits for the Fish.
When you think about some of the big hits that Wes Helms and Ross Glode have gotten coming off the bench, even in games they've played too.
Yeah! Like that. In the right center field. Baker around third. He will score. Another pinch hit for Ross Glode. His 9th of the season.
Boy, and a solid single. Fastball out over the plate. Sharply lined. And John Baker able to score with 2 outs. Able to come in from second base.
So it's Coughlin now, his first at bat against Hanrahan. That's up.
Good eye.
A couple ground ball outs and a walk for Chris. A low strike.
Very much so.
The eyes went the same time the hair did, huh?
2-1. Nobody up in the Pirate pen right now. If there were nobody out, there probably would be. But Hanrahan was cruising here in the 7th, got the first 2 guys. And 3 straight hits. An outside corner there. It's 2-2. Nope.
And you can tell by the target he was going right back out there again. Will probably stay there with his fastball. Boy, that's close. Sometimes you see that called. Little break for Chris Coughlin.
Glode will be on the move from first. And Coughlin walks. You want to just keep the line moving at this point if you're Bonifacio, because you want Hanley up there in this inning with a chance to do some damage.
And that's maybe not in those exact terms, but Joe Kerrigan is going to try to relay that message. This is the guy you want to get. And still no activity in the Pirate bullpen.
Bonifacio. Letter high strike. 0-1.
Bonifacio trying to extend that hitting streak.
'96. We'll see how the Pirates attack him now. Do they keep climbing the ladder with fastballs?
Yes. Especially when you have 96 in your back pocket. lined it a little too high there.
Two coming. Marlins have their first 2 runs of this ball game. Float at second, Coghlan's at first. Hanrahan's 1-2. Fazio has fought off 2 nasty breaking balls. For a guy that throws hard, there's no doubt about that. And maybe a chance to settle into a 7th inning or 8th inning role is just what this young right-hander needs, rather than the pressure of trying to close games. The 1-2. Strike 3. Struck him out at the knees. Marlins will have to settle for the 2 they get. They're still down 5. Brought to you by Just for Men Hair Color. Marlin hold leaders. Just as middle relievers keep their team in the game, you too can stay in the game with Just for Men Hair Color. Brian Sanchez in, 4th to work for the Fish. Chris Volstad 3 innings. Tim Wood 3 innings. Chris LaRue gave up 3 runs in the 7th. Now Sanchez gets the 8th. Frustrating night for the Marlins. They haven't played well in the field and had a rugged night at the plate. Volstad could only give the Fish 3 innings. As we said from the outset, I think people see the Pirates and they think last place team, Marlins should walk right over them. But the Pirates haven't really been pushovers this year, especially against the Marlins.
It seems like every year you have a team that's a tough team. It's obvious when you talk about the Tampa Bay Rays and winning just 1 game against the Rays. They have a very good team. They beat a lot of teams. Now Pittsburgh has trouble against a number of teams, but for some reason or another, they have the Marlins number.
Garrett Jones hits a big league pop in a center. Ross waits a while. And there's an out here in the 8th inning. And on a night where the Marlins entered play tied for first in the East, a significant mark considering almost 2 weeks into June they were 8 games out. And in 18 days made up 8 games on the Phillies. Now obviously the Phillies had to cooperate. They scuffled.
I'll tell you what, though, when you look at the National League East coming into play tonight, just 2 games separating the first 4 teams. Phillies, Mets, Marlins, and Braves. And the Braves look like they're on their way to a win in Washington. And it looks like the Phillies are going to beat the Mets.
Andy LaRoche with a big swing and a miss. Since June 11th, the Marlins at 12-6, the only team over 500. LaRoche waited on that one and drills it into center field. Up comes Ramon Vasquez.
We were talking about the 2 LaRoches, Adam and Andy, and I remember in Pittsburgh talking to Andy. Because of their age differences, they never played on the same team as kids. So this is a dream come true to be able to play on the same team.
Vasquez really set the tone, helped set the tone in the second with a 2-run shot to right. Of course, he's playing in place of Freddie Sanchez. There's a strike.
All right, that's the way to watch it.
We got our own play-by-play guy down there. Why don't you lay out a couple of pitches, Rich?
Yeah. That can be good and bad. Ball in the dirt. Marlins opening play tonight tied for first. This is the latest that the Marlins have ever been in first place, tied or outright, in their history, which is pretty amazing. The latest the Marlins had ever held sole possession of first place was in 2004, and June 27th was the date. But as Tommy pointed out, with The Phillies right now skunking the Mets at 7-2, 8th inning. Philadelphia on top. The stay in first place could be short-lived. Ross makes the catch. No one turns double plays like the Pirates, and our Home Depot doing more with defense. It's because they have a great first baseman, very good shortstop, terrific second baseman in Freddie Sanchez.
Yeah, LaRoe's got this ball quickly, made a perfect throw to Jack Wilson, and the second baseman covering. So that went 3-6-4 on the double play.
Here's Jaramillo. Pirates led the National League in double plays turned last year, led the major leagues last year. And again, have done it more than any team in the National League.
Thanks in part, I think, to the central cut.
Thick grass at PNC Park. But Wilson and Sanchez, a nice combination up the middle. And as any infielder will tell you, it helps to have a very good first baseman. And Adam LaRoche is an outstanding defensive first baseman.
And you know those guys are going to get better with Perry Hill over there, working with them on their defensive skills.
Bonifacio.
I think he took the wrong route.
Yeah, I think your concern is the tarp. He wanted to find the tarp first. The problem was the ball was about 10 feet further on.
He got to the corner of the tarp. That's where he thought the ball was going to come down, and it was maybe 5-10 feet behind, a little bit beyond the tarp.
Sanchez with a strike. There's Perry Hill.
Always studying.
Cantu makes the play. And Sanchez pitches a scoreless 8th. Marlins, lots of work to do, down 5. 7-2. Pirates on top of the Fish. And the 8th inning belongs to John Graybo.
Well, it sure does. And I tell you what, if you look back to the last 4 or 5 years, John Graybo has had some solid seasons with the Pittsburgh Pirates. And he is that 8th inning guy for John Russell. Good sinking fastball. Very good changeup. He'll throw his slider to lefties. And he's one of those guys that will double and triple up the changeup. He'll throw it 2-3 times in a row.
Hanley, that 10-game RBI streak right now in jeopardy. He had a great opportunity in the 6th inning with runners at the corners and 1 out, and he popped up into shallow left field. Reño Pinto. He turns that changeup over almost like a screwball.
The bottom falls out of it, yeah.
Which I think is a term that has disappeared from the landscape of baseball.
Screwball. The Dodgers, back in the 60s and 70s, had a left-hander by the name of Jim Brewer. They had an outstanding screwball.
Would some changeups, like Graybo, the change that he threw 2 pitches ago, if this were the 60s, would people call that a screwball?
Yeah.
Because you're essentially turning the ball over.
Another one that's you don't hear too much or guys throw is a palm ball.
Which isn't quite the circle change, but it's similar, right? I mean, you throw the ball back in your hand.
The bottom falls out of it, yeah.
We check in with Frank. We would never call you a screwball, Frank.
Why? I appreciate that. You guys have been talking a lot about the Marlins and being in first place. Well, take a look at this. The number of days spent by National League East teams in first place this year. The Phillies have spent 47 days. The Marlins have spent 30 days. The Mets just 13 and Atlanta 6 as Cantu rips one to deep left field. But that ball is caught. Now, since 2005, the team that spent the most time in first place is the Mets with 400 days. This is this season so far. See the Phillies with 47 and the Marlins with 30. Of course, the Nationals not spending any time in first place. Since 2005, 400 days in first place for the Mets. Far and away the most of any team in the National League East, although Mets fans would probably take little consolation in that given how the Marlins have knocked them out of the playoffs the last 2 seasons. Guys.
Here's Hermida. Well, it'll certainly make for a very fascinating July. The fact that the 4 teams are so close to each other, all have flaws, and so all will, you would expect, try to fix those flaws in the coming month.
Well, and you mentioned it earlier with Jurgens, Derek Lowe, Vasquez, and Tommy Hanson. All of a sudden, the Atlanta Braves are putting together a solid starting staff. And they're getting some production from Garrett Anderson swinging the bat, Casey Kochman.
Kochman had a big home run last night.
Of course, Chipper is Chipper. And Escobar's, we saw hitting well with runners in scoring position. And Martin Prado has taken over and done a nice job at second base.
Tommy Hanson was a rookie of the month. I think Andrew McCutchen might have been receiving a few votes as well. Struck him out on the changeup, and Hermida goes down swinging. 1-2-3. The 8th inning belongs to John Graybo. for the Fish. Ninth inning has arrived in a game that was delayed by rain to start, then had another rain delay in the third. Raniel Pinto takes over for Brian Sanchez. Marlins bullpen called into action early. Chris Volstead went just 3. Tim Wood pitched very well. He went 3 scoreless innings. Chris LaRue was touched up for 3 runs in his inning. Sanchez a scoreless inning, and now Pinto takes the baton.
And he will face a pinch hitter, Steve Pearce. Pearce just recently called up. I think he was called up when Hinsky was traded.
8th round pick back in 2005. Indian River Community College. And then went on to play at the University of South Carolina.
Good junior college program up in Fort Pierce.
He's from Lakeland. Stephen Wayne Pierce, all SEC pick at South Carolina. Pierce takes up. He's been to the big leagues in each of the last 2 seasons. And they hit pretty well when he's been called up. There's Karstens.
Number 42, center fielder Andrew McCutcheon.
McCutcheon's 2 for 4.
Well, McCutcheon now has hit in 22 of the 28 games he's played since joining the Pirates. You know, it's interesting how things work out. Nate McLouth is not playing right now. He's hurt.
And that's a trade that, like any baseball trade, you have to go 2, 3, 4 years down the road before you judge the value of the trade. If Charlie Morton is anything like he is tonight, then that could turn out to be an outstanding trade. Gorkys Hernandez, a young outfielder. Jeff Locke, a pitcher. 2 more prospects still in the minors. McCutcheon, there's an out, and that's all they'll get.
Now you blink, and McCutcheon's up the line. So no chance at all for a double play, and you really can't even think that.
He's going to be, and McLeod won a Gold Glove, but McCutcheon has much more range than McLeod, and in that outfield in Pittsburgh, you need it. So he's going to be fun to watch in that yard. Here's Jack Wilson.
Baker, you're going to have to call these for the umpire.
Ugla takes it. Pinto gets a couple of outs. Well, the Washington Nationals won't go down easy, but it looks like Atlanta is close to finishing that off. It's in the bottom of the 9th. 9-6 Atlanta. Phillies Mets now a final. Phillies 7-2.
Ooh, that was good.
Brandon Moss homered in the first. Drove in a run with the fielder's choice in the third.
I can't remember last year when he broke camp with the Red Sox, Brandon Moss. He had an opening day home run for the Red Sox. It was a solo shot. They were playing the Athletics in Houston Street, but it was in Tokyo. Remember they had that series?
Yep.
Against the. Actually, remember watching that game. It was about 7 in the morning.
His season was cut short last year with an appendectomy. Pinto on a breaking ball gets him and finishes the Pirates in the ninth. That's exactly what the Pirates will try to do to the Fish in the bottom half. Marlins down to their last 3 outs. Brought to you by Prestige Audi. 2 minutes south of Aventura. 1-866-7 My Audi today. Chris Bolstad gave up this home run in the first inning to Brandon Moss, and that started the night for the Pirates. They would hit another homer and go out to a 7-0 lead. It's not Matt Capps.
That's because it's not a save situation.
So it's Jeff Karstens.
Good fastball and slider and change. Good battler out there on the mound.
Capps worked yesterday. In fact, he gave up the run in the 10th to the Mets on a Ryan Church RBI single. Uggla takes outside. But you would think Capps would not be far behind if Karstens were to put a few guys on base. And obviously that's the goal of the Fish here in the ninth.
You start trying to pick out individual things as to why the Pirates have had a hold on the Marlins this year. Offensively, the Marlins haven't done a whole lot against Pittsburgh.
Foul ball. Roach almost got there.
And if you look at Dan Uggla's numbers, Dan Uggla's 0 for 14 against the Pirates this year. And I remember the only home run in Pittsburgh in that 3-game series, the only home run the Marlins hit was hit by Cameron Maybin.
And that was a bomb.
Yeah. His first National League home run. Maybin continues to hit. Every time I check, he's right around 320. And the big guy, Mike Stanton, a couple of nights ago, homered twice for Jacksonville. So he had 12, I think, in A ball, and he has 5 for Jacksonville now.
Uggla swings and misses. And so there's an out here in the 9th. Marlins Live is coming up. It's presented by ClubWPT.com. Frank and Niner will break down the game. A must-see feature on Lou Gehrig. In fact, tomorrow night, Jeff Conine will read the Lou Gehrig speech before the ball game here. Take a look at Chris Coughlin's improvement in the outfield.
Boy, tough night for Dan Uggla. 3 strikeouts, 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts. Cody Ross hit that double just out of the reach of McCutchen in center field last time up. I thought it was encouraging. I don't think Cody's going to make the All-Star team, but I was listening to a national radio show, and they were talking about outfielders, and they were focusing on center fielders. They were saying, okay, how about center fielders in the All-Star game, especially with Beltran on the disabled list? And one of the names that surfaced was Cody Ross.
Cody Ross tears into that one.
It's going to surface again.
And Ross has got himself a pair of doubles and is 2 for 3 tonight. Yeah, he's hit 14 homers, 48 RBIs.
Now you start looking at his overall numbers, and they match up with a lot of guys, especially center fielders. Boy, 2 solid doubles tonight.
So Baker is up. Helms has emerged on deck. The Marlins have 5 runs to go, and there is an out. John Russell on the right, Joe Kerrigan in the background there. Baker double, drove in a run in the 7th. The Nationals, as I told you, didn't go down easy. They got 2 runs in the bottom of the 9th, and Atlanta won that game 9-8 in D.C.
They can put it in there.
How about the Red Sox all of a sudden? We left there and came out of Fenway talking about that bullpen, maybe the best we'd seen. They had that 10-1 lead that they lost. And now in extra innings, Seattle has taken a 7-5 lead over the Red Sox.
Bake turns on one. Moss goes back to the wall. Gone. John Baker, 2-run shot. And now we'll see if that gets Matt Capps up. Marlins within 3 with 1 out in the 9th.
Yeah, the guys down at the bottom tonight producing. How about for Bake, his 7th home run? Cody Ross 2 for 3. Bake 2 for 4 with a double and a home run his last 2 times up. And good swings. Remember, his double was off the left center field wall, and the home run gets into the runway, into the tunnel.
Wes Helms takes a strike. There he is, Matt Capps, Pirates closer. You know that Russell didn't want to get him up. Helms had some big at-bats earlier in this homestand.
Were you blind or did you just get that?
Helms had that fielder's choice that drove in a run in the 8th inning on Wednesday. That in a come-from-behind win. course, he had the double in the 8th inning on Monday night that got the Marlins started in that 2-run rally and a 4-2 win.
Yeah, he's just had good at bats. It's fun to watch him and Ross Glode go up there and work a count, work a pitcher. And foul off pitches like that.
Oh! I hope that fan is okay. He is.
Yeah, I'm okay.
He took that one, I think, right off the chest. He tried to catch it and missed. Helms rolls it up the middle. Here's a look at the. Ow! Oh, look at, she's just laughing at him.
Well, he protected her. Look.
Oh,
I'm good. I'm good.
You okay, honey?
She's laughing.
Oh, no, look at that. Oh, there's a
nice going.
Yeah. He took the charge and gets the souvenir.
Good job. He's just now getting his breath.
You know, this is a heroic act.
See, he went right in front of her, protected her all the way.
Carsons is out in front 0-2. The Marlins down to their last strike. And that's it. The Pittsburgh Pirates come in and knock the Marlins right out of first place. After a 3-game sweep in Pittsburgh early in the season, the Pirates have now won 4 in a row against the Fish. This is a resilient bunch. They may have had a few guys traded away. They had Freddie Sanchez out of the lineup, but still they show up and they play hard.